supporting the channel. I had to redo my live because it looked like I wanted to invite. And a lot of times you got to be careful in inviting people because they may say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, or, you know, they could, you know, I'm not trying to let nobody mess up my channel. So one day I might do that, is if I decide at a later date. But for now, I'm a one-woman show, and I love what I do for the channel. So thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for subscribing. We're almost at 39K. If I get another 500 people to subscribe, we'll be at 39K. So that's amazing. Every week, we're getting 1,000 subscribers. I'd say that's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to get to midday, day 29. I probably should have been saying that all along. Day 29, what's going on in court, what's transpiring in court, and what's being talked about. Sometimes I go live in the morning, and then we talked about what happens the day prior, but I've been trying to go live so I can update you guys on what's currently happening now. So I hope you guys appreciate my 2-a-days, almost like a workout. But yes, like the video as you guys come in, subscribe to the page as you guys come in. I'm going to go ahead and get to my disclaimer, so that way when more people come in, that part will already be done, because that takes about 3 to 5 minutes for people to come in. But yeah, I have pretty good people that turn on their notifications. So let's go ahead and get to the disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. So thanks for being here. We're going to get to some topics, what's being talked about in the court. Inner City Press gave a midday explanation of what was happening in court. So we're going to get to that. So let's get to information of what's going on. I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, see, everyone just now popped in. I'm hoping everyone's doing well, especially with the heat. Check on your parents, check on the elderly. Make sure your kids' rooms are really nice and cool. Certain locations have like a little smaller air conditioner where you put a little water in it and it blows along with your fan. Amazing. So try and keep cool over the next 5 days. And just check on your people and make sure everyone's good. Okay, so we're going to get to the Inner City Press in regards to what he had to say in regards to midday. As I was listening to what's transpiring, and as they're going back and forth in court, and they're reading what they feel that's happened in regards to court. Some people are questioning, saying, well, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And the judge did ask Diddy, are you sure you do not want to get on the stand to testify? And he said, you have a right to. And Diddy was like, no, I don't want to. So the judge was very clear, asking him, because you know what? At a later date, he may say, well, I didn't understand the instructions. Maybe I should have. We don't want that. The judge was very clear, asking Diddy, are you sure you do not want to get on the stand? And Diddy said no. That happened from what I was understanding, from what I was listening to today. But yeah, there's a lot of what's going on. They're definitely trying to finalize everything before the 4th of July. Well, okay, this is what I'll say. He's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Do you think he'll be home by the time of the 4th of July? Do you think he'll still be in jail? Do you think we'll get a verdict before the 4th of July? But let's go ahead and get to Inner City Press to see what he has to say about the court case. And this is kind of like a midday conversational topic. Be kind in the comments. YouTube don't play about pages. Thanks for being here. Subscribe to the page. We're definitely trying to get to 39K in the next 5 days.
June 24th. All right, here we are. Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press. It's not midday. It's nearly the end of day 29 of the U.S. versus Sean Combs case, June 24th. And what's happened today is there was an extremely longer than expected, let's put it that way. I don't want to cross-examination of the agent Cerciello, by Ms. Garagos. I have to say it sort of petered out from my point of view. But then the Rule 29 motion by Combs' lawyer, Alexander Shapiro. I've said before, I'm a fan. She's representing Sam Bankman-Fried. In any case, they pretty much laid out what will be their arguments at closing, attacking every count. And again, I've seen a lot of people say it's, they turned away. Even some people thought it's uninteresting. I think it actually is. This is the beginning of the end here. Her take on it, and I have a few notes here. At least one of the statutes she's saying is unconstitutional. This is not going to cut ice either with, I believe, Judge Subramanian or with the jury, but it'll be raised on appeal. This has to do with intimidation and force, but she made arguments about forced labor, saying that this statute was basically enacted to enforce the 13th Amendment after slavery. It's used in cases of immigrant domestic workers forced to work because their passport is taken. She was pretty, I think you could say she was dismissive in the sense that she said, not dismissive, she said these are affluent individuals. The complaint is about not going on a yacht, not going on a trip to Turks and Caicos. She made a kind of a procedural point, which I'm...
This is Inner City Press. This is the gentleman that everyone's been typing and talking about, that he's in court daily, talking about every step pretty much that's happening in court. So he's talking about what's been happening today. So we're going to keep listening to Inner City Press. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Not sure who's going to hear it, even on appeal, but she said it's significant that in 3 superseding indictments, they only ended up with this fraud theory as to Jane once it became clear to them that Jane was alleging violence in the house, that incident with the broken doors that are still broken. She also said that the escort in that case there was no showing that they came from out of state. These are the kind of like little landmines that are dropped that come up on appeal. The thing is that unless that's the only thing he were to be convicted on, even getting that one knocked off later, it would sure be interesting. I'm doing this in front of the now empty MCC jail, but certainly it keeps people active if they're in jail for a long time, to have some appeals going and to get a couple of wins. But there's 5 charges here. Now, I guess in what people would say is the most newsy element of the day, Judge Subramanian said, "Mr. Combs, do you understand? How are you feeling today?" And he said, "I'm feeling fine. You're doing a great job, Judge." Maybe that he thinks it's going to get some.
I'm feeling fine, Judge. You're doing a great job. Yeah, let's talk about it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Say hello as you come in. I appreciate you guys for being here. Like I said, he's innocent till proven guilty. We're talking about what's happening in court today. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
To rule in different ways going forward. Anyway, he was certainly upbeat in that. Then he was asked whether it was his decision and his alone to not testify. He said, "Mine alone." Then he added, "with my lawyers." They've now taken a break for the defense case, which I think is going to be extremely short. It seems like it's just going to be getting some exhibits in. And then that's it. There'll be a charge conference tomorrow, Wednesday, and closing arguments on Thursday, which I think on the defense side, at least, are going to be largely what Alexander Shapiro said in a legalistic fashion, but made in a fashion tailored to the jury, more based on the facts than on the law. In any event, Inner City Press, we're all over it. The week 6 book it out. Week 7 book is in preparation. There's a lot of material from it.
So, Diddy basically gave the judge a compliment, which is cool. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel. Like the video as you guys come in. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you all.
Day 29 of the criminal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Today we are expecting to finish up with the cross-examination of Homeland Security Special Agent Joseph Cerciello. Yesterday, Mr. Cerciello basically connected the dots for prosecutors. I expect the cross-examination to be about an hour and 15 minutes. Defense attorneys for Mr. Combs are then going to enter a bunch of evidence, but they are not expected to call any witnesses. On Wednesday, the jury is going to get a special set of instructions. On Thursday and Friday, there's going to be summations, aka closing arguments. Today,
Okay, so they're just giving us a breakdown of what's going to happen in court and how the breakdown will be. Like the video, like the video. Thanks for being here, everyone. Like the video as you guys come in.
Okay, Sean Combs' trial, the very last day of testimony. There have been 34 witnesses, 27 days of trial, 27 days of testimony, rather. And it's in week 7. We're going to finish up with the special agent this morning. Then the defense attorneys will argue Rule 29. Now, this is very customary, where at the end of a prosecution's case, defense attorneys will say, the government has not proven their case. Please dismiss the charges. It's kind of a formality. It's unlikely that that will be passed, but every prudent defense team will argue, listen, the burden of proof has not been met. You must throw this case out. So then tomorrow, on Wednesday, they have to decide what jury instructions are going to be. That is very important in deliberating this conspiracy racketeering case. Okay, Sean Combs' trial, the very last day of testimony. There have been 30.
She's given another breakdown. More people have come in, so let's go ahead and replay that just one more time.
27 days of trial, 27 days of testimony, rather. And it's in week 7. We're going to finish up with the special agent this morning. Then the defense attorneys will argue Rule 29. Now, this is very customary, where at the end of a prosecution's case, defense attorneys will say, the government has not proven their case. Please dismiss the charges. It's kind of a formality. It's unlikely that that will be passed, but every prudent defense team will argue, listen, the burden of proof has not been met. You must throw this case out. So then tomorrow, on Wednesday, they have to decide what jury instructions are going to be. That is very important in deliberating this conspiracy racketeering case. Okay.
Okay, so do you think that the attorneys did a great job covering all aspects of this trial? Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you guys come in. We're just doing a day 29 update on what's happening in regards to the trial. Like I said, he's innocent till proven guilty. Diddy has decided not to take the stand. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Celebrities and friends of his, even family members, people who work for him take the stand. I think what's the most, so this idea that we were going to have all of these celebrities and friends of his, even family members, people who work for him take the stand, there's not that many witnesses that the defense is planning to call, and it seems very unlikely that Combs is going to take the stand to testify in his own defense.
The prosecution is going on week 7 of presenting their case. So why is Diddy's defense team only planning on less than 2 days to present theirs? NBC Entertainment News correspondent Chloe Malas, who has been in the courtroom, explains.
Maybe the reason that the defense is planning such a short case is because they feel as though the government has not met the burden of proof. I mean, he's paying millions of dollars for his legal team. If Combs was not on board with a day or two defense...
Millions. They might have, I don't know if they have music playing in the background. I can't play that one. Like the videos you guys come in. Like the videos you guys come in.
Breaking news, federal press.
Hold on one second. We're just doing midday recap review.
36 witnesses. Breaking news, federal prosecutors resting their case in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking and racketeering trial. Jurors heard more than 6 weeks of testimony from nearly 36 witnesses. Prosecutors argue their case proves that the music mogul ran a criminal enterprise using business to lure and traffic victims. Both sides have played recordings of the alleged sexual freak-offs, and the jury has seen nearly 45 minutes of those explicit videos. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges and denies any wrongdoing. I'm joined by Rena Roy, live outside the courthouse, also civil trial attorney Trey Lovell. So, Rena, what's the latest from court?
Yeah, well, Kira, the prosecution rested just a short time ago, and we are hearing from our teams inside the courtroom that the defense just asked for an acquittal, asking the judge to immediately find Sean Combs not guilty of all the charges. A defense attorney saying, quote, the defense moves for a judgment of acquittal on all counts, saying that the government has failed to meet its burden. Now, as we know, the government's case has lasted more than 6 weeks. The jury has heard from 34 different witnesses over the course of 28 days. They have seen just really a mountain of evidence here, hundreds of exhibits over the last several weeks. Now, the prosecution's final witness got off the stand a short time ago. It was a summary witness, a Homeland Security special agent, who sort of summarized the logistics, if you will, of those so-called freak-offs. The defense will soon present their case. No witnesses, just evidence will be admitted to the record. Of course, we are waiting to hear how the judge will rule on that acquittal request. And tomorrow, if things stick to the timeline that we are hearing, we will see a charging conference when both sides will argue how exactly they want to see the jury instructed on the law, Kira.
So that's the one big thing everyone's saying. How is the jury instructions going to go, and what's going to happen, and what will be the decision of the jury? Will they decide guilty, not guilty? But the biggest thing is for them to get their instructions and understand those instructions. Big day today and tomorrow. What do you think is going to transpire or happen? Do you think that he'll be found guilty, not guilty? Big question. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you guys come in. Don't forget to subscribe. We're definitely trying to hit 39K. We're about 500 people away. If everyone subscribes, we'll almost be there. So let's get to this information about what's going on.
28 of the trial. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Of acquittal on these charges because the evidence presented is insufficient to sustain a conviction. Probably not going to be successful for them. And then you move into the defense's case, which, by the way, we found out about that too. I mean, there was a point when we thought the defense was going to call a number of witnesses. Is that not true anymore? Are they not calling any witnesses? Are they just putting on exhibits or something? Yeah, it seems like there was kind of a...
Yes, note in the comments if you feel that he's guilty, not guilty. Note in the comments. Please continue to double tap the screen to hit the like button. Let's get the likes to 100. Please double tap the screen. Press 1 if you're watching from a phone. Please double tap the screen to hit the like. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here. And like I said, he's innocent to proven guilty. In a court of law, a judge jury is going to have to decide if there's any wrongdoing. Fair use, reaction clip.
Whether or not the defense will call witnesses or whether or not they'll just put in a bunch of exhibits, and that'll kind of be the most of their case in chief. But from my understanding of it all, they still plan to call at least maybe 1, maybe 2 witnesses. That is my understanding of everything. I know a lot of people would rather this case kind of wrap up and everything quickly, but it seems, again, from my understanding, that the defense at least plans to put on a couple of witnesses. Now, whether or not one of those witnesses is Sean Combs, I doubt that's going to happen, mainly because they plan on summations or closing arguments to be happening.
And they decided not to put any witnesses on the stand. And he decided not to take the stand. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip.
On Thursday, but initially, Jesse, they had kind of, I wouldn't say a laundry list, but they had a long, lengthy list of witnesses that they were possibly planning on calling. Now, obviously, that dwindled all the way down. And then initially, when we were kind of getting towards the end of the government's case, the defense was like, okay, we plan on calling Dr. Bardet, we plan on calling Bashta, we plan on calling another witness. And then it seems like that 3-person witness list already trickled down probably to maybe 1 or 2 of those folks, possibly Bashta Dunlap,
And we found that it was none. They decided not to even call any of those people.
Dr. Bardet. So we'll wait and see when the defense takes over for their case. But for the most part, it seems like the defense case isn't going to be lasting as long as they initially anticipated, when they initially thought it would be at least maybe 2 to 5 trial days. It seems like for the most part, it'll be just a day, maybe even a day and a half.
Yeah, some outlets are reporting that the defense is not planning on calling any witnesses, so we're getting mixed messaging. I'm happy you were there to straighten it out for us, because I'll tell you, I think it's interesting. If they call no witnesses or they call a limited amount of witnesses, it says something about how they feel about this case. They might feel that through cross-examination of key witnesses, key prosecution witnesses, and maybe just some of the text messages that came out, enough reasonable doubt has formed. There's nothing more for them to do. Now, you talked about Sean Combs not taking the stand. Yeah, as of right now, based on the scheduling, doesn't appear he's going to take the stand. However, he can wake up tomorrow. It's his decision and his decision alone. He can wake up tomorrow and say, no, I want to tell my side of the story. His attorneys can't stop him. He will take the stand. It's up in the air. Probably not going to do it, particularly after the scheduling today, but we'll see. I've been shocked before. Maybe I'll be shocked again. Now, after all the scheduling, now after what we can anticipate for the rest of the week, we saw the continued testimony of this special agent for Homeland Security investigations, this summary witness, literally summarizing or condensing a lot of the digital evidence in this case. And it seems to me that the prosecutors are really trying to illustrate that the connective thread, this connective thread with Sean Combs, his associates, and Jane, alleged victim 2 in this case, to set up all of these wild king nights. So you're really placing Sean Combs in the middle of it. Not that he can't say, oh, I don't know what was being set up on my behalf. I showed up at a hotel.
Did y'all know they tried to change the narrative? Versus calling them FOs, they're trying to call them King Knights. Have y'all noticed that? They tried to change the name because he didn't like them being called FOs. He didn't like it. So now they're trying to call them King Knights. That's been since this week, last week. Not everybody's saying King Knights, but some of them are.
And I'm shocked to find what I found. Not so quite. And it's either
that he was an integral part of this, assuming at the very least these were sites of prostitution, which is, transportation, to engage in prostitution. The allegation being that he transported sex workers and alleged victims for the purposes of sex work. The worst case for him, that these are sites of sex trafficking. So, Elizabeth, before we even get into the audio tapes of Sean Combs, I want to ask you about that separately. So I understand more flight records and the payment of travel. This was all discussed, as well as setting up the rooms for these sexual episodes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Jesse, I will say this about some of the summary charts that the jury was able to see today. It was something that a lot of us in the gallery weren't able to see because it had a lot of sensitive information, specifically relating to Jane. And so, unfortunately, for the most part, especially at the beginning of the day, we didn't see all of these charts and graphs that were all put together. But I was able to try to jot down as much as I could, especially as Maureen Comey was kind of going pretty fast with this witness. But, for example, we heard about one particular kind of flight summary chart that was between.
Like the video as you guys come in. Fair use reaction clip. Please subscribe to the page. We're trying to hit 39K. Please subscribe to the page. We're trying to hit 39K and turn on your notifications. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Kind of flight summary chart that was between September 24th of 2022 and September 25th of 2022. And the location was Mapleton Home, which is Diddy's residence over in Los Angeles, as well as in Vegas too, where the names associated with that particular time frame were Jane, Sean Combs, and Paul being an entertainer that Jane and Sean Combs would use in their hotel nights. And so the jury was able to see kind of financial records, that being $2,500 that was sent over to Paul. The flight records, I wasn't able to write it down as fast as I possibly could, but there were flight records that were attached to that. But then also there were just more charts just really talking about the payment. So for example, there was one payment from September 17th of 2023 through September 19th of 2023. It was about a hotel booking, particularly the Trump Hotel in New York and the Whitby Hotel too. The names associated with that particular booking were Jane, Sean Combs, Robert, and Cabral. And then Jane, she had a flight out from LAX to JFK, Cabral from Atlanta to Newark, and then Newark back to Atlanta, where the jury was able to see Venmo payments totaling $1,000 that was sent to Robert. Then they were able to see text messages associated with just kind of the financial records associated with Cabral, where Jane texted Cabral saying, "I'm going to check on the status of the cash for you." Then we see more things, or we hear about more charts that have to do with Jonathan Perez, one of Sean Combs' assistants, Jane and Cabral. It was assigned to the Trump Hotel, room 0508. The arrival date was around that same time frame, September 17th of 2023, and then the payment method was an Amex, and the account holder, that being Sean Combs. And so the jury was able to kind of see all of that, including an American Express credit card bill where there was a charge for the Trump Hotel for $2,597.11, another charge for $2,490.17. They were able to see transportation. It was through Premier Travel and JetBlue, JetBlue obviously being an airline, and that was transportation in relation to Jane and kind of how she was able to possibly get over here to New York. And then the account holder for that was Jessica Ruiz. However, what we know about Jessica Ruiz is she was a travel agent that Sean Combs would use in order to kind of set up these arrangements. And so the flights were paid for with Amex under Jessica Ruiz's name. That was also under Bad Boy Entertainment, or Bad Boy in general. Then there were just more records for the flight for Cabral, again, around the same time frame, that being September 18th of 2023 through September 19th of 2023. The account holder was under Jane's name. However, there was a wire transfer to Jane Doe from Sean Combs. And so I think that was another kind of point where they were saying, even though the account holder might be assigned to Jane, the money that was coming in, according to the government, was first coming in through a wire transfer from Sean Combs. So that way Jane was able to book this flight or get whoever over to wherever they were going to be in terms of planning for hotel nights. And then there were emails even between Robin Greenhill to Team Combs, where Robin sent a screenshot where the message included in that particular screenshot was, "Hey, please send Jane $5,000." And so the jury was able to see even more charts of services that were received from Brendan Paul, Cabral Williams, travel agency charges, other charges including just to hotel rooms. And so it was a lot of just charts, first of all, but also just a way for everything to just be in one place in terms of if the flight was booked for this particular date, here are all the financial records associated with that. And it seems like from the government's kind of argument about this all is that all roads kind of lead back to Sean Combs in terms of who was the one paying for all of this to be happening, all for the entertainers, and even in this case for Jane to be coming out to these hotel rooms, and in this case New York, but also in other places like Los Angeles and Vegas.
Like the video, press 3 if you knew where you're watching from, press 3 if you knew where you're watching from, press 5 you've been here before, where you're watching from. Do you think he's guilty or not guilty? What do you think the verdict will be? He's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. A jury's going to have to decide if there's any wrongdoing. What do you think? In the comments. Please double tap the screen. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
That's why these summary witnesses are so important, because you heard the idea that Sean Combs had been paying or arranging for these workers and their travel and their transport, and also the alleged victims in this case, but it was a little nebulous, it was a little confusing. So now you have a summary witness who really summarizes it, makes it clear, makes it a timeline, and again, this helps support the charges of transportation to engage in prostitution, transporting sex workers and alleged victims for the purposes of sex work. It also helps with racketeering, right? The more that the government can say that Sean Combs was using his inner circle, was using his businesses, was using his resources to facilitate what the government basically says is not only illegal activity, but evidence of sex trafficking, right? They're saying Jane was sex trafficked. That's how you get to racketeering. That's which sex trafficking is one of the underlying crimes of racketeering. But it's also, you know, you talk about a criminal agreement, a conspiracy. That
If you live in the state,
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. What do you think will happen? Let me know in the comments. Do you think Diddy's attorneys did a great job in being his attorney?
Others to facilitate this illegal conduct. And of course,
fair use reaction clip.
The more they're saying it's evidence of sex trafficking of Jane. But I mentioned the inner circle. My understanding, there were messages from Combs' inner circle, right? Which is important for racketeering. Again, the more you say those people, those associates, that security, those assistants were helping him to do that, that is key. What did we learn about the messages from Combs' inner circle? What kind of messages were presented for the jury?
Well, it seems like in addition to just the messages that the jury was able to see between Sean Combs and Jane, or Jane and an entertainer, or Sean Combs and an entertainer, there were still things that were happening kind of behind the scenes in terms of his employees kind of handling everything. So that way the rooms would be ready. That way everyone kind of knew what the plan was for either the weekend or for these hotel nights. And so the jury was able to see a lot more messages, and even heard some audio messages too, just about everything that went into the alleged Combs enterprise kind of planning these hotel nights and what they were doing in terms of that. So, for example, there were messages between none other than Christina Coram and Sean Combs, where there were some audio messages that were played. We weren't able to hear those because it was one of those things that was under seal, and then the government was worried about sensitive information relating to Jane being out there. So the first couple of batches of audio messages were headphones only, so unfortunately we couldn't hear those. But what we did know is KK's response to some of these audio messages that included Christina Coram saying, okay, she's going to come, she'll meet us in Vegas.
Are you guys surprised that some of his business partners did not sit by him, near him, wasn't on trial? Are you guys surprised that some of his business partners didn't take the stand and plead the fifth and get immunity? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Let me know in the comments. Are you surprised KK didn't take the stand? Are you surprised D-Rock didn't take the stand? What's really going to happen with his business partners that was with him daily? Fair use reaction clip. About 256 in the building. If I can please get 256 to subscribe. We're trying to hit 39K, and thank you. Please subscribe, and thank you. Thanks for supporting the channel. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Sean Combs says, okay. He sends another audio message, again, one that we can't hear. Christina Coram says something along the lines of, whatever you want. By the way, your nightstand has plan B. Sean Combs liked that particular message. He also said, do you think the other girl will come? Christina.
So who do you think that plan B was for? Did someone almost get pregnant? Fair use reaction clip.
Coram responds. Sean Combs sends another audio message that we aren't able to hear. And then he also texts something along the lines of, keep homegirl, please. I'm not sure which homegirl he was referring to in those particular messages. But then Christina Coram responds, working on drip. Jess will work on rooms. Plan B is a nightstand. And then she kind of listed them out, but they were going so fast that these were all kind of in listicle. So it was like, first, working on drip. Second, we'll work on rooms. Third, plan B is a nightstand. And then Benny the jeweler can get back to us. So that was kind of the gist of that particular message between Christina Coram and Sean Combs. But then there were other messages too between Jane and Christina Coram, where Jane is telling Christina, hi KK, okay, we spoke, and this was something along the lines of what days are best for her to come and stay. And then we hear about more messages between Sean Combs and Jane, where he's saying, good morning, the countdown begins. Jane is saying, yay, can't wait. And then more messages just between the assistants, where Jonathan Perez, who was an assistant who had even testified in this particular trial.
Yeah, how deep does it go? We're very surprised that KK didn't take the stand. They talked about KK a lot. We're very surprised. His driver didn't take the stand, and his bodyguard didn't take the stand. These people are with him, traveling with him, hearing different conversations of him being on the phone. Do you think they did a great job in showing in regards to the raid at his home? Where's she at? Where's the other 2 to 3 girlfriends after Cassie, where they at? Why couldn't they? Why didn't they take the stand? So people can go MIA and not take the stand because they might have been concerned that Cassie and the other girlfriends' dating situation might have been parallel. We talked about that 5 or 6 or 8 months ago. That other girls after Cassie, their situations might have been parallel. Now, Jane Doe, she's making it seem like it's parallel, but she's also setting up and talking about and buying outfits and buying matching outfits for the men, and making sure there's extra oil, and the assistants having to go in and clean up this situation. It's a huge concern. And where's HR? Where's their union? So is KKHR? Why didn't they make her take the stand? Did Cassie ever complain? Did Mia ever complain? Did any of the assistants ever complain? Did Jane Doe ever complain? Did any of the people you hired ever complain? Did they all get their money? If she was his right-hand person for 8 years, so people are saying she's the co-conspirator. So if he possibly alleged, I don't know. If he goes down, she may go down. I don't know. But is there a situation where she might have an issue and the feds have been talking to her on the side? You know what I'm saying? It's just interesting. There's about 207 in the building. If you already subscribed, thank you. Let's get the likes to 100, you guys. YouTube makes it easy. Just double tap the screen. Double tap the screen to hit the like, please. It lets everyone know we're live and it supports the channel. Super chats are welcome, and there's memberships over there. Let's get the likes to 100. Please double tap the screen. Let's get the likes to 100. Please double tap the screen. If you're watching from a phone or a tablet, they make it easy. Yes, 240 in the building. If I could please get 240 to subscribe. Please double tap the screen. Let's get the likes to 100. Let's get the likes to 100. Please double tap the screen. It keeps me in the algorithm. So let's continue with the audio. Fair use reaction clip.
Fahim, who was one of Diddy's security guards, where Jonathan Perez messages Fahim and says, Trump team says there's a private entrance. Fahim responds, yes, we're pulling up. Jonathan says, in the elevator with Jane. But in addition to Jonathan saying that he was in the elevator with Jane, we see messages from Fahim to Jane where he's saying, we'll be there in 10 minutes with cash. Then Jane messages Cabral, hey, I need your driver's license. And then there were messages even between Brendan Paul and the people who set up the IVs. And that's something that dates all the way back to Cassie's lawsuit, where she says these really long and intensive freak-offs that they would just need these IV drips in order to recover. And according to Jane's testimony, it was kind of the same instance where these hotel nights in her case would go on for days and hours on end, that they would just need IVs in order to just recover from them. And so the jury was able to see text messages between Brendan Paul and the people who set up those IVs, where the people who set up the IVs said, good morning, please let me know what type of bags that they would like. Also, are we doing the same IVs on all three? Then Brendan Paul says, I'll keep y'all posted. All IVs will be the same. Then Brendan texts about needing Benadryl in the IVs too. And then there were even more messages that included messages between J9 to Fahim, where, and these are both security guards that worked for Sean Combs, where J9 says to Fahim, ASA, I grabbed 10K from Safe for PD. I have it in my possession. I'll let you know when I hand it over. Then there are messages between Sean Combs to Jane, where he says, I can't have Paul at my house. Jane says, yeah, we know, baby. And so it seems, Jesse, that honestly, a lot of text messages were really just showing, just kind of, even though, maybe Sean Combs and Jane were together in a hotel room, they were with whomever inside that hotel room, that there were still kind of workings that were happening on the outside in terms of obtaining the cash, getting the cash to Sean Combs, or even
If you feel
and it seems as if they had substances concerns. And is there other concerns that because we hear more about his escapades outside of work. And I'm wondering how often these FOs happen. Even though they're trying to call them King Nights, I'm wondering how often they happen. Twice a month, 3 times a month, on the weekends. Fair use reaction clip.
Venmo, any of that sort, that it would just kind of be cash that would either be left at the hotel or in an envelope, in just a way that was kind of, given to the entertainers in a kind of, a discreet type of way.
Yeah, look, if we say that all of these assistants are offshoots of Sean Combs, it connects him back to these alleged criminal sexual episodes. It helps establish a criminal enterprise. You go to the opening paragraphs of whichever indictment you want to pick, that Sean Combs was using his businesses and his resources and his inner circle and his associates to engage in the sexual exploitation and abuse of women. If the jury accepts that these are instances of sex trafficking, this is key key evidence. The text messages are so important, right? The flow of money, the travel receipts.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern. If we would have had more blind items back in the day, you got to realize a lot of people were fearful to talk to the police, go to the hospital, make a police report, go to EEOC, equal opportunity. Many people were fearful. They shouldn't have been fearful. If that could look back at how many people and situations could have been avoided if we knew more. Hollywood. There's a lot going on in Hollywood, and a lot of people need to be stopped. This is concerning. This is a job of a producer that's having these situations. What he do with women, everyone's saying that's his lifestyle. But you got Cassie, who you're the producer of, and she's having unwelcome touches by him. And many people say, unfortunately, things got worse. They never allegedly got better until she left, dated the fitness guy. Thank goodness he came along. And maybe because he didn't really feel threatened by him. He didn't want her dating Kid Cudi. He didn't want her dating Michael B. Jordan. He didn't want her stepping out. But he could date other people, alleged. He can have holidays with other people. And she used to sit there and then, oh, well, the holiday's over. Do you want to meet up? He wanted her, some of these women, craving him for the attention, for the money. He knew what he was doing. And that's what some people do. They know what they're doing. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Thanks for being here, everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe if you already did. Thank you. Please continue to hit the like button. Let's get the likes to 100, you guys. Double tap the screen. If you already hit like, thank you. Let's continue. Fair use. Do you think it'll be a guilty verdict? Do you think that he'll be home before the 4th of July? Do you think they'll let him off scot-free? Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 you've been here before and where you're watching from. Thanks for tuning in. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
So important. And the more that the jury can accept, everybody knew what was going on. Everybody was on the same page. Everybody knew.
Everybody.
Sean Combs happy. That's how you get to a common enterprise, right? A common purpose for racketeering. And also it helps with the sex trafficking charge as well. And then we get to the audio messages. So for me, I'm reading the transcript. There's one thing about text messages, which I think are compelling evidence. But what? To hear Sean Combs' own voice? These audio messages? What are these, voice notes? These voice notes, right, I think were key for the prosecution to tie him further to, again, transportation to engage in prostitution, sex trafficking. If they're tying him to these sexual episodes, setting up these events, paying for these events, what were these audio messages that the jury heard and that you heard?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, so it was something that, obviously we've been following this case pretty closely, so we all know what Sean Combs sounds like outside of a courtroom, just in any other type of atmosphere outside of the federal court building right behind me. But for the jury, I'm suspecting that most of them haven't really heard Sean Combs' voice outside of this trial. And so it might be interesting for them to kind of hear how he's talking in these audio messages, his demeanor in these audio messages, because for the most part...
More people are coming in. Let me play you guys the midday conversation that happened. Hold on one second. Let me play you guys the midday of what transpired today. Thanks for tuning in. Hold on one second. Like the video. More people are coming in. Fair use reaction clip. Yeah, you guys are coming in. Let me tell you what's happening mid-afternoon. Almost the end of the day.
Day 29 of the U.S. versus Sean Combs case, June 24th. And what's happened today? All right, here we are. Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City
Almost
Press.
the end of the day.
It's nearly the end of day 29 of the U.S. versus Sean Combs case, June 24th. And what's happened today is there was an extremely longer than expected, let's put it that way. I don't want to cross-examination of the Agent Cerciello, by Ms. Garagos. I have to say it sort of petered out from my point of view. But then the Rule 29 motion by Combs' lawyer, Alexander Shapiro. I've said before, I'm a fan. She's representing Sam Bankman-Fried. In any case, they pretty much laid out what will be their arguments at closing, attacking every count. And again, I've seen a lot of people say it's going, they turned away. Even some people thought it's uninteresting. I think this is the beginning of the end here. Her take on it, and I have a few notes here. At least one of the statutes she's saying is unconstitutional. This is not going to cut ice either with, I believe, Judge Subramanian or with the jury, but it'll be raised on appeal. This has to do with intimidation and force. But she made arguments about forced labor, saying that this statute was basically enacted to enforce the 13th Amendment after slavery. It's used in cases of, immigrant domestic workers forced to work because their passport is taken. She was pretty, I think you could say she was dismissive in the sense that she said, not dismissive, she said these are affluent individuals. The complaint is about not going on a yacht, not going on a trip to Turks and Caicos. She made a kind of a procedural point, which I'm not sure who's going to hear it, even on appeal. But she said it's significant that in 3 superseding indictments, they only ended up with this fraud theory as to Jane once it became clear to them that Jane was alleging violence in the house, that incident with the broken doors that are still broken. She also said that the escort in that case there was no showing that they came from out of state. These are the kind of like little landmines that are dropped that come up on appeal. The thing is that unless that's the only thing he were to be convicted on, even getting that one knocked off later, it sure be interesting. I'm doing this in front of the now empty MCC jail, but certainly it keeps people active if they're in jail for a long time to have some appeals going and to get a couple of wins. But
okay, that's Midday. Fair use reaction clip. Hold on one second.
Okay, Sean Combs' trial. There have been 34 witnesses, 27 days of trial, 27 days of testimony, rather. And it's in week 7. We're going to finish up with the special agent this morning. Then the defense attorneys will argue Rule 29. Now, this is very customary. We're at the end of a prosecution's case. Defense attorneys will say the government has not proven their case. Please dismiss the charges. It's kind of a formality. It's unlikely that will be passed, but every prudent defense team will argue, listen, the burden of proof has not been met. You must throw this case out. So then tomorrow, on Wednesday, they have to decide what jury instructions are going to be. That is very important in deliberating this conspiracy racketeering case. Okay, Sean Combs' trial, the very last.
Okay, so possible jury instructions given to the jurors. Well, let's continue. What happened for today? Like the video, like the video. Like the video. Thanks for being here, everyone. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Resting their case in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking and racketeering trial, jurors heard more than 6 weeks of testimony from nearly 36 witnesses. Prosecutors argue their case proves that the music mogul ran a criminal enterprise using business to lure and traffic victims. Both sides have played recordings of the alleged sexual freak-offs, and the jury has seen nearly 45 minutes of those explicit videos. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges and denies any wrongdoing. I'm joined by Rena Roy, live outside the courthouse, also civil trial attorney, trade level. So, Rena, what's the latest from court?
Yeah, well, Kira, the prosecution rested just a short time ago, and we are hearing from our teams inside the courtroom that the defense just asked for an acquittal, asking the judge to immediately find Sean Combs not guilty of all the charges. A defense attorney saying, quote, the defense moves for a judgment of acquittal on all counts, saying that the government has failed to meet its burden. Now, as we know, the government's case has lasted more than 6 weeks. The jury has heard from 34 different witnesses over the course of 28 days. They have seen just really a mountain of evidence here, hundreds of exhibits over the last several weeks. Now, the prosecution's final witness got off the stand a short time ago. It was a summary witness, a Homeland Security special agent, who sort of summarized the logistics, if you will, of those so-called freak-offs. The defense will soon present their case. No witnesses, just evidence will be admitted to the record. Of course, we are waiting to hear how the judge will rule on that acquittal request. And tomorrow, if things stick to the timeline that we are hearing, we will see a charging conference when both sides will argue how exactly they want to see the jury instructed on the law, Kira.
So that's what's going on in regards to the Diddy case. I just wanted to go live midday, just give you guys some information. Please hit the like, you guys. Please hit the like. Please double tap the screen. Please double tap the screen. There's about 89 in the building. Please double tap the screen to hit the like. Yeah, so that's midday. What's going on in the trial? We normally get our information from different news sources. That was Inner City Press, and then the other one was Good Morning America, talking to us about the trial. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to transpire? Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before and where you're watching from. Like the video as you guys come in. What do you think is going to transpire? Do you think they'll find him guilty, not guilty? And if they're asking the judge to throw it out because allegedly they have not met the alleged things they're charging him for. Okay. I wanted to do a midday. Of course, I'll go live tomorrow morning, probably either 8:30 or 9 or 9:30 or 10:30, depending on. There's some things I have to take care of tomorrow, so we'll see. Might have to be 1 or 12. So yeah, we'll see in the morning what happens tomorrow. But I wanted to do a midday to update you guys on what's happening. So fair use, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. I don't know. Be kind in the comments or comments will be removed. I don't know if you are new, but we're kind over here. We're respectful over here. And we talk hot topics, trending topics. Let me see if there was anything else that's going on in the media that I wanted to talk about. Generally, Portia Williams is talking about her divorce with Simon. Simon is out of ISIS custody. And that's what's going on. Let's see. I'll have to read that later. Yeah, federal prosecutors officially rest their case against Diddy, calling, they had called 34 witnesses. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like there was 34 witnesses at all. Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here. We're just doing a few hot topics, trending topics. Yeah, just stating that Diddy has confirmed he will not testify in the ongoing trial. Were you guys surprised that he did not want to testify? The judge did ask him several times. Let's get into this. Kim Kardashian is so fed up with her ex Kanye West in regards to what Bianca has been wearing, stating that she's copying her. Well, how can Bianca be copying you? So we see what concerning outfits that Bianca's wearing. So you're saying you would do the same thing? Not good. Mothers teach your daughters different. Both of the women need to put on clothes. Just saw a recent thing. Yeah, Kim wants to turn with Kanye again, period. Kim wants to turn with Kanye again. At first, they were saying Kanye supported Diddy. Now, Bianca is wearing, literally. Kanye has Bianca. You guys know the candy necklace, where you kind of bite the necklace and it's candy. Kanye literally had Bianca in an outfit that was candy. That was a few days ago. TMZ posted it. Now Kim is saying she's tired of Bianca looking like her and copying her. Kim don't even look like what she looked like 20, 15 years ago. She likes to turn with Kanye. And Kanye has been by Bianca's side. Kanye's been by Bianca's side. Don't care for the outfits because she's somebody's daughter. But it's interesting how Kanye is dressed in winter clothes and Bianca's in a bathing suit walking around. And Kim is trying to say she's copying off her. Either way it goes, Bianca's outfits are concerning. Bianca's outfits are concerning. She's in a bathing suit and Kanye's in winter clothes. Explain that one. Now, I get if Kim would have said she doesn't like how Bianca is dressing, but now she's in a bathing suit. Kim wants to compete with Bianca. Kim and Bianca's bodies are totally different, so I don't know what she's talking about. Bianca's hair was short, then it went mid, and now it's long. So is Kim wanting Bianca to dress like her? No, she's trying to, you know, make it seem like that. But the Kardashians are always trying to say people are acting like them. No, they don't set all the trends. They copy a lot of the trends. But yeah. Okay, jury trial. Jury expects to begin deliberation verdict this week. Talked about that. If you did not know, Ashanti and Nelly have a show out. Don't know if I'll be watching that. Jeff Bezos and Lauren are getting married. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are getting married. Hopefully the K's and the J's don't try to take more pictures than them. Hopefully the K's and the J's won't ruin their special moment. Jeff Bezos is a billionaire. The K's and the J's like to be around famous, wealthy people. Let's see if there's any other hot topics, trending topics I want to talk about. Like the videos, you guys come in. Fair use reaction clip. Let's see if there's anything else. It is being reported that allegedly Tom Brady will be attending Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez wedding. That's nice. Allegedly, many celebrities will be attending. And what they're spending for the wedding, you can only imagine. He's a billionaire. He got it. I would love to see Lauren's prenup. Yeah, we heard earlier, Diddy thanked the judge before the defense rests the case, and he told the judge he's doing a great job. Do you guys think that the judge was fair in a lot of these situations? Do you feel that the judge was fair? Let me know in the comments. Yep, the prosecution rests their case in the DIDDY trial. Like the video. Please subscribe to the page. Let me see if there's anything else I want to talk about. It's being reported, I don't know if this is true or false, but it's being reported, neighbors, Jason Derulo really gets arrested filming his new video. Is that true or false? Some stuff is fake, some stuff is real. Or is this a fake police? That's from the neighborhood talk. Maybe it's just for the video. Maybe it's just for the video. Yeah, Jason Derulo is something else. And maybe because they didn't have, if he really did get arrested, maybe it's because he didn't have a permit to film. What do you guys think about Jeff Bezos and Lauren getting married? Let me know in the comments. Jeff Bezos and Lauren getting married. It is basically being reported Quad is saying she wants Nene back on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. The Real Housewives of Atlanta, there's so many concerns in regards to the housewives, period. Keke Palmer talks about the breakup. Let me know how y'all feel about that. In that whole situation. Earlier this week, I did do a video in regards to Beyonce, Jay-Z. Jay-Z took the stand with Beyonce. There's a video of Beyonce and Jay-Z walking around about town. Let's see if there's anything else. Like the video. We're just doing hot topics, trending topics. Sometimes I try to do that in the beginning or try and do it at the end. Yeah, I did do a lot of shorts today. I don't do too much on the Kelly situation, but I did do a lot of shorts today. And there is a lot going on in the world, so I did post some of those videos. K's and J's are looking for attention. I'm not certain if Kylie and Timothy are broke up or together. We might see Kylie and Timothy together in 2 weeks. So the K's and the J's be looking for attention. right now, people have been talking a lot about how the girls, and I've said that before, how the girls are expected to date, but Chris can be in a relationship for 8 or 9 years, but the girls are expected to date. It almost looks like it was Kylie and Kendall's season to date. Now it might be Kim and Chloe's season to date. Have y'all checked out Chloe's podcast? What do y'all think about it? It's almost like she's not healed and she's giving interesting advice. Chloe is giving interesting advice. In the beginning of her podcast, she was talking about a lot of cringy things, what she would see and hear being under her mom's bed. But yeah, Chloe's trying to give dating advice. No, thank you. No, thank you. But yeah, them K's and the J's always want a trend. Always want a trend. And it's nice that Lauren Sanchez is having her moment and she is not being taken over by the K's and the J's. You know, do you think that they've lost relevancy? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. Let's see if there's anything else in the media, in the news. Like the video as you guys come in. How do you think that the trial has gone? Are you guys satisfied on what the allegations were, what the raid, how his house was raided? Do you think they covered everything in regards to the raid? You know, with the different allegations? Okay, it's saying the kids. Do you think that they covered everything in regards to the trial? Did they do a great job covering everything you felt in the trial? Many people are saying, where are a lot of people at? Okay. All right, everyone. I wanted to do Hot Tropics, trending topics, and I have. Yeah, I guess Kim and Chris have done a collaboration. A lot of her collaborations, people have been questioning. The K's and the J's want to be talked about. They want to trend. They want to go viral. And people have been side-eyeing them a lot over the last 3 years. People are saying, boo. Boo, boo, boo. Get rid of your team. They're not making you look good. But that's on them. You'll see. You'll see. I don't promote any of the K's and the J's things, so I avoid saying what they got going on. But yeah, a lot going on with the K's and the J's. You guys will see it. Yep, going over to Instagram. People have been questioning what's really going on. Like the video, you guys. Please double tap the screen. I hope everyone have a great day. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel. And I hope you all have subscribed. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21. Goodbye.